You're listening to The Front Porch Show. Some shows are niche shows, talking about specific topics. Others, shows about nothing. This show is the show about everything. On The Front Porch Show, we'll talk about current events, some news, a little bit of politics, along with a whole lot of life. Welcome to our Front Porch. Welcome to episode number 60 of The Front Porch Show. www.thefrontporchshow.com. I am Aaron Mathis. I am joined by my two compadres, Tombstone and Just Jeff. How you doing, guys?
It is so good to be here.
You look warm.
I'm doing well.
Jeff's doing well.
Jeff is lukewarm.
I'm feeling good. I got the window open. I think I actually have the AC on as well.
Okay, hang on. Quick temps check. Aaron, temps in your neck of the woods?
65 degrees right now.
Oh my gosh.
We had
you complain about
Tombstone?
winter all winter, but 86 right now for me.
Oh, it's
Jeff doesn't know.
51.
51.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but Jeff's getting the weather system.
But
you
guys had a visit from Old Man Winter a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, kind of.
It is just the winter just doesn't go away for us.
No, it held on here a long time too. I mean, we're like a month behind as far as like weather goes, and I'm just
I think
sick
that's
and
what I
tired
said
of it.
last week. We're living in the month. We're getting the April showers in May, so maybe the May flowers will come in June. We really don't know at this point.
I mean, our dandelions are finally coming out. They might be actually done today. Tulips just finished.
I slaughtered the dandelions in my front yard this past week. So I went just whole scale total war on them. Got some good weed and feed / dandelion killer.
I've got nothing but dandelions right now.
Dandelions are good for bees.
I have bees too.
That's what they say.
And bunnies.
My backyard's got plenty of them for the bees. The front yard, I killed them.
I hear you. That's something I've got to do later today. I got to go into my hives today and check them.
All right, so Aaron,
blast.
You had a really important news update coming to us from Arkansas today.
I do. Do you guys remember Arkansas?
I mean, I've been to Arkansas twice. Yes,
I've been through there.
I try not to.
Arkansas.
Hang on, Jeff.
County,
why
Arkansas.
are you prejudiced against Arkansas?
Probably because of the article we had out of there a few weeks ago or months ago.
Okay, I actually do have a hilarious Arkansas story. So some time ago, I had to drive through Arkansas. It was a one-way trip. I was coming from Arizona, coming back home. I needed a cable for my audio to make the radio work in the phone, or not. The radio worked in the phone, anyways. I needed a cable. Went in a Walmart. I kid you not.
Folks, he's an IT guy. This is how he explains things.
It's a very technical explanation. I went in the Walmart. I came out of the Walmart convinced that to even be issued a driver's license in Arkansas, you must have a camouflage item of clothing. Like, I don't think it's negotiable in that state.
Probably. I don't disagree with you.
What? I don't think so.
So how
aren't the driver's licenses actually camouflage?
I don't think so.
How in the world did we get
camouflaged.
Clinton from there?
Well, the reason Bill Clinton is in politics is because his uncle ran a car dealership, which is one of the ways political power was marshaled back in the 60s and 70s.
Car dealerships.
Yep. True story.
I could totally see Slick Willie as a used car salesman.
But remember, Arkansas was Democrat until the, I think, early 90s, mid 90s. It's been very recent.
I'm not surprised that whole Southern Democrat feel.
Don't let anyone ever try and tell you that the so-called Southern strategy was a thing, because if it was a thing, it was the most terrible electoral strategy in the history of anything. Because if you look at congressional maps, local election maps, and presidential maps, the South did not actually switch to solid Republican until like 1996, 1990. It was like 96 or 98.
Interesting.
So long after Nixon was in office. So
very interesting.
And of course, you got two of the only Southern presidents of all time, if you don't include Texas as part of the South, which is a whole different conversation, were Billy Bob Clinton and Jimmy Carter.
No
Jimmy
comment.
Carter.
No comment on Carter. I know I've mentioned on the show before my great grandmother babysat Carter.
Really?
Yeah. In Connecticut.
You had family from
his dad was worked at the sub base in Groton, Connecticut.
Yep.
And she babysat him. So, anyways, just saying, things could have ended up differently.
Very interesting.
Arkansas guys. Do you guys remember the guys who just so happened to be drinking on their back porch and decided to shoot each other with a .22 rifle?
Hey, they were testing.
You've just given everything away about the story.
Well, we already talked about the story.
No, we already covered that.
We already covered that story.
Oh, okay.
We covered that story like 2 months ago.
I do remember, yes.
Yes. So they were arrested back last month, April 1, when they took turns shooting each other. And remember, the one guy got shot in the shoulder, right? And the other guy thought it hurt, so he unloaded on him.
Yes.
Okay, I'm tracking.
So
which it's just like classic, like 6-year-olds on the playground. Like,
so I need to point out that this happened.
That's not fair.
I have to point out this happened on April 1st.
It did, but it is a true story.
It's a true story.
It is a true story. They both pleaded not guilty.
Mm-hmm.
So
what was the crime they were committed of?
What was the crime? I forget exactly what they caused it.
Stupidity?
What they called it. No, it's aggravated assault. They both pleaded not guilty to aggravated assault. For purposefully shooting each other. Now, look, I'm just saying.
So what's the update? You're killing me.
No, so they pleaded not guilty. That's the update. Pleaded not guilty.
Oh my goodness, that was the buildup.
That was a lot of wind up for that.
Yeah. Well, no, it was.
Oh man,
it was a front porch show buildup. This is what we deal
with every week here. Every week here, like Mathis will have these long, like mystical buildups to a story, and then that was it. They pleaded not guilty.
You guys don't understand how much it tickles me to do that to you guys.
So
can I just?
So we are currently searching for a new producer and head host for the show. So if you can submit your applications at thefrontporchshow.com. We have an opening. Please.
Okay, so hang on. I got to point something out about the story. So what's interesting about the story is that one of the guys lied about what happened at first.
Yes, he did.
He said someone was shooting at him in the asset, like he's some kind of CIA agent.
Oh yes, no, yeah. Don't you remember that?
From the highway?
He said he was hired to protect an asset, and he was protecting somebody as a bodyguard.
Guys, he was taking lead.
So
he made up the story.
That was my favorite part of the story.
But hang on. So even though he had just shot his friend in the bulletproof vest, he was worried about his friend getting in trouble. So he lied to the cops to keep them from getting in more trouble.
Yes.
And he said,
true friendship.
I'm going to quote from the story from ozarksfirst.com. Ferris then told the deputy what really happened is he had been drinking on his back deck with Hicks and wanted Hicks to shoot him as he wore the vest. It hit the top left corner of the vest, and then he was pissed. His friend put the vest on, then he unloaded the clip into his back while he was wearing the vest, and none of the rounds penetrated. So the only harm here,
funny, but
and the cops said, "Oh, that makes a lot more sense."
Oh yeah, they're like, I mean, I'm sure they knew. Like, I'm sure the cops knew when they got there. There's no hiding this kind of foolishness.
Telling you guys.
Man, because if someone drilled you from the tree line, they definitely would have landed every single round on the plate.
I'm telling you, refrigerator on that deck.
Yeah, it's full of beers.
Exactly.
And maybe bullets by now.
My guess is it's an old small chest refrigerator that doesn't work, so it's been filled with ice.
Oh, nice. That's good.
That's my
that
call.
The voice
on
of
that
experience there. Jeff?
That's good. That actually gives me a whole lot of ideas.
That was awfully specific.
That was.
I'm just saying. That's the picture I'm getting in my mind.
That's a man with a lot of time on his hands.
All right.
I've been at Mathis's house.
So that's the latest from Arkansas.
We'll have
further comments on this as it develops.
That's right. So, guys, we had the opportunity of getting together with some of our front porch fans last night.
Front porch
fans.
French. We have a French porch. I don't do French porch stuff.
French porch kissing.
Whoa.
Sorry.
Really, that devolved fast.
You know what I've got on my brain this morning.
Wow. So, moving on, Tombstone. Do you need a few minutes? I mean,
I'm good.
Okay,
I'm good.
So we played a throwback last night with some of our front porch fans. Front porch fans. I think I said French again. I give up. I just give up. Age of Empires.
Again, send your applications to thefrontporchshow.com.
Now, one of the things that became evident as I was about to play last night is my handle for Steam absolutely is terrible. And that is, it was amathis.vt. And so that's what I've been going by for forever, and that is extremely lame.
It's not very creative.
No,
it's not.
No. And so,
and I don't feel like your substitute name that you picked was a very good one either.
I'm not sure it was either.
But even if it is descriptive,
Jeff liked it. What was it, gentlemen?
Porkmeister.
Yes. Porkmeister.
Now, to be fair, based on previous episodes, the ways of flavorful meat love.
Yes.
I mean,
which by the way, how did that end up? How did that was it?
A lot of ribs to cook. I ended up having to use both grills just for the ribs.
Okay.
The thermostat on the grill didn't work, so I was like sticking a meat thermometer through a hole in the side of the grill to keep checking the temperature. But all in all, it took a little longer than planned because there was so much of it. Of course, like you said, a gas grill that blew out a couple of times from trying to go low and slow. But they turned out pretty well. Some were more tender than others, but I got a good smoke flavor in them. I bought a cast iron smoker box and put it right down in the grill with some applewood chips. And it was a big hit. Everybody seemed to like them, so either they were all lying to soothe my feelings, but they all had seconds, so I'm pretty sure they were good.
You'll know next year, depending on where the location is of Mother's Day.
That's true.
If they ask you to cook ribs again.
So originally we planned for 14 people, ended up only being 11 people, and there were more ribs in the packages than we thought. So I had like 9 racks of ribs. Yeah, there are still ribs in my fridge right now. I never thought I would say this, but it is possible to get sick of ribs.
See, that's when you gotta pull them. You pull them and like just freeze the meat and save it, and throw it in like an omelet or something.
It's not a bad idea, but they did turn out very well.
Nice.
So sorry, we distracted from your Porkmeister handle.
I need a name. I need a name, guys. Do you have any suggestions?
What do you want to evoke? Do you want to evoke terror? Do you want to evoke a laugh? Do you want to evoke?
Well, what do I typically want to evoke?
I don't know.
I typically exude happiness. So probably a laugh. A laugh is good.
Is your studio upstairs or downstairs?
It is upstairs.
I propose the big man upstairs.
Wow.
Wow. That's amazing.
That's excellent.
That's amazing, but it seems a little bit sacrilegious.
No, I think you should go with it.
The big man upstairs.
But
interesting.
Better than Mathis Almighty.
That just popped into my head right now.
That's good.
I don't think you're going to find a better one than that, Aaron. I think that's it.
I think I should roll with that for a little bit and see how that goes.
Because I was thinking the big man or the big guy, because we called you that in college sometimes.
That's right. That is true. I can't see a problem with that one. We're going to try it. So, Steam, if you're on Steam, the big man upstairs. That works.
My favorite word is the word.
We got an issue in America. Too many good docs are getting out of business. Too many OBGYNs aren't able to practice their love with women all across this country.
Back up, you creep.
And Bernie Sanders might run. Apparently, some folks really want to see a pot-smoking socialist in the White House. We could get a third Obama term after all.
Gentlemen, how does... Did you guys ever see RoboCop?
Yes.
Wait, which one?
At least one of them.
Like the original.
I do find it funny that even back then, Detroit was like this dystopian crime hole.
Detroit has always been a dystopian crime hole, Jim.
Wait.
Assault on Precinct 13. They're all in Detroit.
I know. Bad.
Is that the one they did the remake with Carl Urban a few years ago?
They did a remake. Yeah, they did a remake. I don't know who it was
Not
with.
Inspector Gadget, RoboCop.
Yeah,
thank you.
Totally different guys.
Thank you.
So how would you feel if a robot police officer was roaming the streets and watching you do bad things?
Well, first of all, I never do bad things.
Of course not. Neither do I.
If
What
this
is
is
the-
the
what am
article
I
you're
thinking of?
referring to, it's not quite what you're implying.
I'm asking a question related somewhat to the article.
But that would be creepy.
Okay. So, they are proposing a new technology where a robot or an officer, essentially utilizing a robot, approaches the car and
I was thinking of
wouldn't
Judge
say-
Dredd.
I wouldn't
That's
say
what I was thinking
apprehends you.
of.
Those are
Sorry.
very different movies. Dude,
I know. I've never seen RoboCop. Apparently.
Okay. In order to eliminate the need for the cop to actually approach the car. What do you guys think?
Okay. I think that we should stop doing traffic stops. We should start taking pictures of license plates and mailing people tickets and have them defend themselves in court. Then the whole thing would collapse under its own weight.
Ooh.
I like that a lot.
Oh.
I like that a lot. Particularly the collapse under its own weight.
I knew that'd make you happy, Aaron.
I don't like the taking the time and paying the money to defend myself in court, but
Well, no. I mean, it would be like today. You would have the option to just pay it, or you could go.
yeah, but
and
even when you go to court, you pay the court fees, even if it gets tossed.
And here's why I think this would be an improvement, because right now I think trying to think how to say it. So if anything that gets people to contest tickets is a good thing. So now it may be the opposite. It may be that just taking pictures makes people contest things less, but I think we would also have fewer dangerous roadside stops for cops and people.
I tend to agree.
But cops think that roadside stops for traffic infractions are an important way of identifying and scooping up criminals.
More serious criminals. Yeah, exactly. They view the minor stops. I'm not a fan of that procedure.
I'm not down with that. I'm sure there's a lot of cops that would disagree with me, because they would say, well, we've scooped up a lot of bad guys off the streets. Yeah, you've also scooped up a lot of people who are too stupid to keep the weed out of their car and don't really need to go to jail. They're not really a danger to other people.
And you've created this massive, well, they didn't create it, legislatures create it, but what's been created is this massive, burdensome regulatory system that any little thing they can pull you over for now. So basically, at any moment, at any time, there's probably something they could pull you over for if they want to initiate a search.
Take for instance, my pullover.
Like we were talking about last 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks.
Yep. So here's the other thing you got to think about. Americans are extremely resistant to cameras on the side of the road. Okay, so let me ask you this. If you had to choose between the current regime of roadside stops and omnipresent speed cameras, which would you choose?
Cops.
Yeah, I would have to go with stops.
Tell me why. I don't disagree with you. Tell me why.
I don't recognize a robot as a legitimate law enforcement officer.
I mean, you also can't testify against it in court.
No,
so
exactly. I don't believe it's constitutional, which several state courts have determined. I just don't recognize it. And
he doesn't like the fact that it has indisputable evidence that
if I have a cop pull up behind me, that's one thing. If I have a robot pull out behind me, take me out. I'm not pulling over. I will not pull over. I will not pull over.
No, he's not talking about a robot.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about speed cameras on the side of the road.
I'm talking about a robot cop chasing me down.
I don't think you're in any danger of a robot cop chasing you down.
I'm not doing it. Skynet, guys. This is where Skynet came from.
Oh, man.
Okay, so going back, Aaron, going back to what you're talking about with the little thing that rolls up the side of the car.
Yeah.
Like, if it's I don't think if we're to the point where we acknowledge that it's too dangerous for cops to walk up to a car and issue a ticket, and maybe we should just.
But the problem is this: it's not. The problem is it's not. We hear this in the media all the time.
I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you, but apparently there are some people who think that there's something.
We hear
weird
that
going
violent
on.
crime is on the rise. We hear that violence against cops is on the rise. All this stuff. And I don't agree with that. I do not think that's the case. Statistically, that is wrong.
Yeah, statistically, it doesn't seem to be the case. Now,
but is it getting awareness in the media? Yes.
No.
I see what you're saying. It's getting awareness in the media.
Yeah, the crimes are getting awareness in the media. The fact that it's not on the rise is not getting awareness.
Exactly.
Now, the trouble is with this. So what you got here is this video that showed up that, like you said, is the police officer pulls somebody over, and then instead of him coming to the window himself, there's some sort of drone, I guess. I haven't seen exactly how it's connected to the officer's vehicle.
It's almost worse than that. It's like this apparatus that extends a really long arm out.
I think this is a prototype, which is even worse.
It's terrible looking.
Obviously, prototypes look rough, but it comes up next to the car, and then
famous last words before we embrace Skynet.
I'm telling you guys,
camera and a screen. You can scan your ID on it. You could get two sides of the aisle on this, possibly, though, right? You could get the people that want to protect police officers from dangerous encounters,
right?
You could also get the people that claim that people are being shot by police in these encounters, because now you're keeping the officer back in the car
until you arm the robots with guns.
I mean,
you think that's not going to happen?
I have to admit, at some point they're going to figure that out. But
we've already got drones with guns.
It's going to take a little longer, I think, for them to do that than you're proposing.
Domestically,
you see how
perhaps.
ugly and clunky this thing is that they're using. I don't think this is ready to be used.
I'm just saying, you strap 2-gallon guns to the sides, and it's a traffic machine. I mean, ain't nobody going to speed with that sucker around.
It's an interesting philosophy. I'm not sure we want to take the human contact out of law enforcement. I think it's a very dangerous game to play, to take all human contact out of this. I also think that we really have got to get away from these weird little ticky-tack, protect you from something that may happen laws, and go back to a much more scaled-back system where the state only intervenes when rights have actually been violated between two people. But we've given up a lot of that freedom for security, so I don't know that we're ever going to get back to that.
Hell, it's almost like you're hearkening the words of Ben Franklin there.
I have an anecdote here, actually. So South Africa, I've been to South Africa twice in the last 7 years. Spent a lot of time on the motorcycle both times, and did a cross-country trip.
How many times were you pulled over?
I was stopped at a checkpoint once.
Okay.
However, I got my picture taken by roadside cameras at least once. However, they have kind of a hybrid system down there where, and I don't know if they only do this during holidays, because the weekend we were driving back across the country was Easter weekend, and they don't have a freeway system like we would think of. It's more like just it's a 2-lane road or a 4-lane road with a really high speed limit that goes across the country, with little rest stops and so on. Anyways, they had cops. They had traffic cops standing out there with telephoto lenses and notepads, and and radar guns. And if you were going too fast, they would make a note, and they would just take your picture on your way past, and they get your license plate.
How much was your ticket, Tombstone?
I never saw any tickets because I was driving a rental car. So, but listen, I was driving
back and hit you up for it.
Listen, I was driving a 1.5, a car with a 1.5 liter motor and a 5-speed transmission. So while theoretically I could get over the speed limit, I don't think I was that much over the speed limit, because the speed limit there is 75. It's 120 kilometers an hour.
Yeah, wow, it's pretty fast. So, it's nice.
Yeah.
I mean, I might have been running over. Honestly, they weren't stopping people, so I have no idea if I was going too fast for them or not. It's not like here, if you're going 11 over, they'll pull you over, and you're like, okay, 11 over is definitely too fast. I probably passed 5 or 6 of those guys, and nobody flagged me down or said anything, so just like, I've got to get to Johannesburg, and I was in a really big hurry, so I just kept going.
Which means Tombstone was late for his flight and had to get there.
I was not late, but I was afraid of being late because it was a 12-hour drive, 14-hour drive across a country that I knew nothing about.
And he had 12 hours to get there.
Yeah. It was a 12-hour drive, and he left with 11 and a half hours to get there. So
we ended up leaving at 12 midnight from Cape Town, and I think our flight was like at 5 the next day. So it was a hustle. It was a hustle. Definitely not something I would have chosen.
It was a
to
hustle,
do.
but in a different meaning of the word, I think. That's...
You're insane, Tombstone.
He was hustling somebody.
No, it's just a really long drive.
Okay, so
there's no gasoline. There's no place to buy fuel on that road. There's like 5 gas stations in the entire country. So
well, you've got to plan your gas very
well,
wisely.
I didn't even have a map. I had no idea where I was going.
Why didn't you have a map?
I was literally because I don't know why I didn't have a map. Maybe actually I might have had a map by that point, but I don't know if fuel was marked on it. Or I only had a map of Johannesburg. So, by the time I got there, we were almost out of gas.
Never road trip with Tombstone.
Trust me, I don't road trip with Tombstone.
It's Jeff has prior experience.
I've gone on short road trips with Tombstone.
Speaking of being pulled over,
barely leaving the county. Man. Yeah, that's true.
Okay. So hang on. Okay, so we're driving across.
Let's not talk about that, guys.
I have no idea where any fuel is, and like we're almost out of fuel. Like I'm below E, and there's no gas, so I ended up having to drive in the left lane at like 50 miles an hour with my blinkers on until I found fuel. And it was just not that fun.
He's got that sucker back to economy cruise, and he's just going. Grief.
Why did you cut it that close? There's nothing between Cape Town and Johannesburg.
Because I didn't want to try and spend the night somewhere in between. Because I had no idea. There's not. You can't like get a Motel 6.
No, you're gonna die.
So
I
just left. I mean, I gave a cushion. Like I gave a cushion, but it wasn't a big cushion.
Oh my goodness, Tombstone.
But I didn't. Other than not being able to find fuel, I had no issues.
I'm looking at the map here. I mean, you're going through some pretty rugged country.
Oh yeah, middle of nowhere.
There's nothing there. I'm looking at the satellite.
Time throwing a couple gas cans in the trunk.
Driving across South Africa is like driving across Nebraska.
I'm plugging it in here.
Except it's bigger.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm seeing.
But it's very
like
rural.
But it's not.
It's very rural, and the top half of the country is very agricultural.
Let's see, it's 13.
All right, so
how does that?
How
does that
go
convert?
Somewhere else with this robot?
Oh yeah,
thing
so yeah, guys. One of my biggest complaints is that when you get flagged by a traffic camera or a red light camera, they can't prove it's you because they don't have a picture of your face.
Sometimes they do, though.
Sometimes they do. Sometimes. Some of the best sitcoms make jokes of that. Home Improvement was one of them. They made a great joke about that back in the day.
Really? I don't remember that long ago with a traffic camera.
So I have a story about traffic cameras as well.
Lay it on us.
So the same trip that I was driving through Arkansas, I left from Phoenix, Arizona, and I went through a place called Star Valley, and there are traffic cameras set there for revenue. And I was driving a 4-cylinder Dodge Dakota with a 5-speed transmission.
It's never for revenue. It's always for your safety.
Right. And thank you, Jeff, for that clarification. And anyways, so I got two photo tickets, and I didn't own the truck I was driving, so they got sent to the guy who did own the truck, and he was like, can you take care of this? So he messaged them back and said, hey, I wasn't driving the truck. The real driver is at this address.
Thrown under the bus.
No, I told them to because they were expensive. They were $225 a piece.
Yikes!
Whoa!
Chill out with this. Lead foot.
Yeah. So
Sounds like you need to stop speeding.
Tickets. Well, I wasn't trying to speed. It was like I was in the middle of the desert driving a truck.
I wasn't trying to speed. I got a $225 ticket, but I wasn't trying to speed, officer.
Well, I think I was going. I don't know. I don't remember how fast I was going, honestly. But it was like I was like doing 60 in a 45, something like that. Which in South Carolina is not even speeding.
That'll do it.
So anyway, so I got the tickets, but the problem is
the moral ambiguity of this entire segment is really getting to me.
It's really rough, but anyway.
Okay, so they sent me 2 tickets, but they weren't actually tickets. They were very nice color printed forms designed to look like a ticket with the pictures of me driving the truck. And at the bottom, it said, "This is not a summons. Sign to waive your right to a summons and pay the fee." So in most states, maybe all states, a ticket is a summons, and it has to be delivered in person.
That's the whole, you're not admitting to guilt. You're just signing to say you've been summoned, basically. Right?
No, on the ticket,
different.
On the ticket, it was both. On the ticket, it was waiving my right to a summons. So it's basically acknowledging this is not a ticket. This is basically a collections attempt on a private company's picture of you. That's basically what it amounts to. The government never entered into that transaction, except, of course, they're getting a cut from the
They're getting the money, yeah.
But the form came from the camera company, and I was waiving my right to a summons. Now, at this time, because I Googled this extensively, this is back in like 2013, 2012, I don't know. I Googled this, and those companies were, in fact, farming out huge numbers of summonses deliveries in Arizona. And it was almost like being like what you do here. And they would drive around, drop summonses off, and basically serve people.
Except I don't drive around and drop summonses off.
Right. But you know what I mean? Is like you get paid by the job, you drive around to different houses.
Yeah.
Very loose comparison. So, but I never responded to it, and I never got a summons. So it went away.
Nice.
Interesting.
Which, with how far away you live, they probably figured we're not going all the way
I think
there
it was probably
to deliver a summons. So
let's talk public cameras or facial recognition cameras. San Francisco the other day comes out and says that they're going to be the first city to ban facial recognition by police and other agencies.
I cannot tell you how much it pains me to say something positive about San Francisco.
I know,
but I think this is an absolutely excellent move.
This is
on
perfect.
Their part.
And interestingly, in the same vein, you sent me a video from Britain where they are parking a van on the side of the road and photographing people walking past.
Yep.
And
just
using
to photograph people?
Yeah, just to photograph people and getting facial recognition in order to figure out if they have warrants or anything.
So
the one guy who covered up his face as he walked past did not get nailed with a warrant, did not get nailed for any crime.
But
he did not get flagged by the cameras or by the facial recognition. He got charged with disorderly conduct because he covered his face and wouldn't show them his face.
See, that's the extra scary part. Like, it's first off scary that they've got cameras out there for facial recognition. You can make arguments that, well, if you're walking around with a warrant, if a police officer saw you and you're walking around with a warrant and he recognizes you, they can arrest you and whatever.
I feel like the United States,
but that's ridiculous.
I feel like the United States has
camera.
I feel like the United States has liberated countries for much less than that.
I like the air quotes you used there with liberated, but yeah,
we liberated the heck out of Iraq.
That's ridiculous. That's like you're walking past a police officer and he says, "Come here, I want to talk to you and see if you have warrants." And you say, "Nah, I'm not stopping. I'm not committing a crime." And so they charge you with disorderly because they can't just pull you at random off the street and check if you have warrants.
So I think this is one of those cases where, I think we alluded to this a few weeks ago, where technology has basically outrun constitutional legal precedent in terms of where it's. The instinctive thing, of course, is to say this is a terrible idea, but you could make a legal argument that it's allowed under the Fourth Amendment. So I want to talk about that argument real quick and see if we can knock it down. So what the pro law enforcement, pro facial recognition people are going to say is, if you're in public, you don't have an expectation of privacy, and having a camera or a machine look at your face and identify you based on your face does not fall under expectation of privacy.
So can I interrupt you real quick right there?
Yeah.
I would argue to this point, public, you don't have an expectation of privacy, but I still don't think you should be being watched in public. On a private piece of property, I think that's a different story.
Wait, what?
Because when you enter a private property, you are
like a government building.
Like a government.
It's not really private property.
I would
public property.
I would argue that's public property. When you enter a business, you have no expectation that they're not, using technology to watch you, make sure you don't steal stuff or even track you.
But we're not. But we're really talking about facial recognition in a law enforcement context.
Right. That's why I'm saying is that I would argue that in public you should be able to.
So I would say we need a very strong legal precedent in this country that facial recognition cannot be used without a warrant.
Yeah, so I think there's two things here. I think we would all agree that in public you do not have an expectation to privacy, because if we make that claim to fight this facial recognition, you can't record things to protect yourself.
Right.
So in public, I agree, you do not have an expectation to privacy. What Mathis said there at the end, I think it was Mathis, is that you do have the right to cover your face if you want to, though.
Yes.
Because you're in public. You're not committing a crime. It's not like you're walking into a bank with a gun saying, give me your money, and you're covering your face. You're just walking down the street.
But remember, guys, Britain is where they're confiscating steak knives.
Yeah.
So
you could be walking to dinner with a steak knife and you would get arrested for it.
I don't know who takes a steak knife to dinner, but
I totally would.
But I at least have one or two other knives on me.
But only if I was in Britain.
So.
So Jeff, so my question to you is, do you agree or disagree that facial recognition should not be used without a warrant, which is to say if you were going to use it in a limited context, it should discard all data except relevant to whatever investigation it's being used for? I'll be honest with you, even allowing that, if you agree to that, sorry, I just interrupted after I asked your question, but I really don't see a way that facial recognition does not get grossly abused by law enforcement. I'll say that right there.
And that's
you see it here.
Because I think I agree. On its face, you're like, well, it's the same as somebody just sitting out on a street. Like, if you're going to try to make a parallel, because the technology has outrun precedent,
right?
The parallel you're probably going to try to make is, it's like if we park a police officer on a bench with a book of photos and say, if you see any of these people walk by, let us know. Okay. Right. Would anybody argue that that's unconstitutional to sit there with a sheet with 5 people's faces on them that are known for warrants and have that police officer look for them? No. So they're going to make the claim that having that camera sitting there doing that is more efficient, and they're going to make the claim that it's only looking for these 5 guys or whatever, Right. But unfortunately, I agree with you, Tombstone, that there's no way it doesn't get grossly abused, and that's the reason I think we need to check it.
So my gut check on this is, I don't actually know if there's a way to prevent this constitutionally without twisting the Constitution. So I don't know, guys. I have a lot of fears that are tied to this regarding technology, and especially law enforcement and abuse of power. I'm getting to the point where I feel like the Constitution was not designed to contain the government if it's already this powerful, and it's, I don't know. We're getting into the uncanny valley here of constitutionality.
There you go.
And what's actually beneficial versus what's constitutional.
Well, I think
there's a very clear. There's a very clear bipartisan case, unless you're a government-loving hack on either side. There's a very clear human case, common sense case to make that this is a terrible idea for, I don't know, I'm getting ready to use something squishy like human flourishing, but you know what I'm saying. Like,
no, I know
that is a very squishy word.
Just because technology can make law enforcement or something like that more efficient, right, even if you could argue more effective, doesn't mean that in the grand scheme of things, again, there are many times that I would argue more on the side of liberty, where I will take something that's less efficient and less helpful because it errs on the side of freedom. I mean, just think about, take it back to innocent until proven guilty. That assumption, if operated under correctly, makes everything a lot less efficient and effective at catching bad guys. Of having to prove beyond a reasonable doubt, that makes putting bad guys in jail less efficient and effective. A lot of time bad guys get away because you can't prove beyond a reasonable doubt. But it errs on the side of liberty. So just because putting a camera on the side of the road can catch more people by facial recognition than putting a police officer sitting on a bench trying to recognize people, I think we err on the side of liberty, and we don't do it because of the chances of abuse, etc.
Right. We just need to settle in and realize there's always going to be this push-pull between law enforcement, especially on the federal level, and what we think of as reasonable liberty under the Constitution. So we just need to settle in for that fight, and we need to be prepared to form bipartisan coalitions and make very creative arguments in our favor, I guess is
correct. Because like you said, there's always going to be this push-pull, but we also have to recognize this is an issue, I feel like, where you can engage on reasonable discussion if people don't immediately go, oh, all you statist pigs, or all you just want criminals to get away. There's got to be that middle ground you've got to find.
Right.
I've always said, guys, freedom is messy. It
yes.
truly is. Freedom is extremely messy, and you have to take the good with the bad. And I would rather live under freedom than slavery.
Absolutely.
Well, the sign says that it's 4 quarters for an hour, but a quarter only gets you 15 minutes. So if my math is correct, that's not an hour.
I'm ducking and everything, died, and just in the house, I got scared. I dropped my hot pocket.
Our next story, the gentleman couldn't reach down and pick up his hot pocket if he wanted to,
but he might have eaten a few.
I think he ate quite a few. Being dads and having our quintessential dad bods, it's hard to rail against someone who has a few extra pounds.
Jeff has preloaded his dad bod.
But when
that's right. I'm prepping.
But when you're carrying around a good extra, 600 pounds.
Let's put it this way: all three of your wonderfully full-figured hosts put together.
Very diplomatic.
Full-figured, wow.
Yes.
It makes you sound like a plus-size model, Jeff.
Well, we are trying to get you on Shaq Plus Big and Tall Model Challenge after your previous week's performance there for us.
After that short picture?
Yeah.
Sent that into Shaq.
Those legs in JCPenney would be amazing.
I mean, can you imagine walking to JCPenney and just seeing his legs up on that wall?
I would have an excuse to wear my sunglasses inside. Which
I know. Very muscular legs.
But I digress. So all three of your wonderfully full-figured hosts here at the Front Porch Show put together would not weigh as much as this gentleman.
That's right. That's scary.
Although we're close.
Our next,
I mean, we're probably within a rounding error or two. But
our next story takes us to Virginia, where a man who is weighing more than 900 pounds is set to be brought to federal court in Richmond. The plan to move him was approved by the FBI, the U.S. Marshals, and the Richmond Ambulance Authority, the Henrico County Division of Fire, and state and local emergency personnel.
Can you imagine the cost to the taxpayer just to move this guy?
I know. I think I think house arrest might be a good call on this one.
He's not going to run. Forget the ankle monitor.
Seeing as how they suggested they may have to cut through a wall and take down some trees to get him out.
I shouldn't laugh. I'm sorry.
No. Gentleman by the name of Ken T. Hicks, no relation to our Arkansas man that we know,
that we know of.
That we know of. He's 48 years old. He's charged in a cocaine conspiracy case, and he is scheduled to plead guilty and to be taken into custody immediately.
Now, have you seen the update on this? Because that article was from May 9th.
Was it? So he has already been to court. Do you have an update?
No, he may not have already been to court, because on May 13th, he was en route to court, and then the case was delayed because he was diverted to VCU Medical Center en route for unspecified issues.
Absolutely riveting drama.
Which means they moved him, and he had a heart attack because they dislodged an
entire hot pocket that was stuck in an artery.
No, you did not just say that. You did not just say that.
I'm dying. I'm dying.
That's so wrong.
Tombstone is like crying.
It's like there's a point where he just has hot pockets coursing through his veins.
I'm sorry. It just came to me and it popped right out.
Okay, guys, like seriously though. Like, I understand that there's health issues that can cause people to get to this point, okay?
Yeah.
I understand that there can be hormonal issues.
Like hot pockets.
Like hot pockets. I understand that there are some issues that can lead to this. But for the vast majority of people, what allows you to get to that point?
You hate yourself.
But seriously, you'd almost have to.
I'm not saying that in a judgmental fashion either.
Or there's like physical, like, you get to the point where if you have some sort of injury, you can't move, you can't really exercise, and you're sitting around the house eating.
But guys, we joked about the recursive cookie loop, but it is a real thing for some people.
Well, right.
I've been victim to it. You feel bad.
Some people turn to food for comfort, right? Like, I know this joke. We joke about comfort foods, but
and I think it can be more subtle than that. Like, I don't know. People who are well adjusted and happy tend not to overeat.
That's my problem.
Well, look, guys, I've always joked that the front porch show is like therapy. So
I'm telling you guys, though, I cannot walk through a Sam's Club without going like, but it's only.
Okay, Sam's Club, that's a little bit different.
Slice of pizza.
That's a little bit different because Sam's Club
for a giant frozen yogurt.
Sam's Club is targeted. It's targeted at a captive audience. When you're stuck at Sam's Club with your wife and there's 99-cent sliced pizza, that's not the same. As liking comfort
come on,
food.
Man. It's like I can walk through there and it's like I can literally buy a 55-gallon drum of chocolate-covered pretzels for $50.
I mean,
it's like, get in my cart.
Get in my cart. And then you go there, you shop, and then dinner for two of you costs $7, and you've both eaten more calories than an average person should in a week. And you're just like, hey, we should do this every week.
You gotta limit your Sam's Club, my friend.
We don't even have. See, that's the key is we don't even have membership at this point. We just bum one when we need it. So
okay, guys. I actually read something a few weeks ago, like a few years ago.
A few years, same difference.
Yeah, I don't remember when. It's been a long time. But okay, something about they've done studies. So going back to Sam's Club and Costco, and I don't know if Target would be in this category, but definitely like Sam's Club and Costco. There's something about being in that kind of environment that triggers some kind of primeval scarcity reflex and makes people spend more money
because you just see like crates of stuff sitting around and you're like, I think it's
that, and it's also just like something about the warehouse, like
you just see high quantity, low cost, and you're like, well, it couldn't hurt to be stocked up on that,
right?
Because
so there's an argument to be made that it's actually for some people. Maybe most people, it's actually more expensive to shop at those type of stores, which makes a certain amount of sense.
Stocking up on stuff that you don't really need to stock up on.
Exactly.
Interesting theory. So I'm very focused when I go in there, though.
So I have never been in a Costco or a Sam's since I got married, and I wonder now that I'm father of two that I would be more susceptible to that that kind of thing. I might have to do a field study. I might have to go steal my mom's Costco card and go take a field trip.
Because I agree with you, Mathis. We go in there pretty focused. It's like, all right, we're here for like the pack of toilet paper and a couple cases of water.
Yeah.
And, dog food or something, and then you're like, well, it couldn't hurt to have 6 boxes of Reese's Puffs because then we won't have to buy them for a while.
Yeah, but so question, is that a waste? I don't think that's a waste, though. I don't necessarily think you're spending more unless you're not using it.
No, yeah, if you use the stuff you buy and it's just that you buy it once every 6 months because you bought it at a big box store, it's a bigger cost up front, but over time it's not a bigger cost.
And so that's my thing. So
the trouble is when you buy stuff that you don't use and it goes bad because you bought so much of it you can't use it.
So when we were living in Vermont, we would do a Walmart run every 6 months. We would have our what we would joke as our yearly Walmart run.
That must be insane.
And we would blow like $400 at Walmart.
That covered 6 months for you?
Yeah,
I got to get better at my shopping.
Yeah, it was about 6 months, but it was stocking up on things that we had to have, like kitchen goods and
I can't get out of a Meijer for less than $100.
Yeah, but no, I'm not talking grocery shopping. I mean grocery shopping. Good grief.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I just posted in a group that I know where I remember reading about this, and see if I can dig up any actual research on what I was talking about, because I think that would be very
it'd be fascinating. I guess my question is, it's like my heart goes out to this guy. I mean, obviously he needs to work out or something. He needs to do something because he needs some legit help.
He does.
And I just...
Now, what were the crimes? Because what could a 900-year-old guy do?
900-pound-year-old guy?
900... Oh, my gosh. I don't know where I saw a year-old. What can a 900-year-old guy do? But what can a 900-pound guy do?
So it says conspiracy, cocaine conspiracy. So what I was reading is that there was a bunch of people involved in this, and 20-something people I read somewhere. Conspiracy to distribute and possess with the intent to distribute more than a pound of cocaine. And so, three of the 7 people. So there's 7 people charged in the conspiracy case.
And then
three said they were guilty.
So never get in a conspiracy with the guy who can't duck out the back door if the cops show up. That's the moral of the story here.
Right.
It's kind of what is this like? Should I not make a Jabba the Hutt reference here? Like,
no,
well, it's like
there's criminal mastermind.
Guys, there is no way he could have been outside his house in years.
No. Now look, it's also alleged that on April 4th, while on release and awaiting trial, he tested positive for cocaine in violation of the terms of his release. So he's also tested positive since he was released. And then, but get this, in the second article I found...
Isn't cocaine an appetite suppressant?
If that's the case, give him the pound of cocaine back.
I believe so.
Oh my goodness, Jeff, you're on fire.
But look at the next paragraph here. Novak, which I think is the judge, revoked Hicks' bond on Monday and directed that for Hicks' own safety and dignity, he is unable to wear clothing. That he appear in the loading dock of the East Broad Street Courthouse for proceedings next Tuesday. It's expected he will arrive via ambulance. He is unable to wear clothing.
Guys,
that will be appearing in a loading dock.
That's huge. He's huge.
I mean, 900 pounds is really big.
It's half.
I mean, he's not going to be alive for very long.
No. Well, my concern is, to Jeff's point, he may not be with us anymore anyways.
They're not gonna be able to get him into prison.
Like, you can't do surgery. No, number one, they're not going to take him to prison. They said they were taking him to a medical facility after court. But number two, they're not going to, like, surgery. You can't do surgery. You can't do anything. Like,
no, the heart can't. Honestly, that's probably why. Part of me was like, did he fake this to get out of court? But when you're that big, I was seeing something the other day about how many extra feet or veins, like for how many pound of fat, how much extra of veins, and like how many more feet of veins the heart has to pump blood through.
It's incredible.
And so for somebody like 900 pounds, that heart, I mean, he's got to be on the verge of heart failure just sitting still.
Oh yeah.
So
guys, how do you?
I don't know. I don't even want to think about this anymore.
I'm just,
depressing.
the more I think about it, the more depressed I get, and the more.
So did we find out if he ever made it to court?
I don't see whether he ever made it to court or not.
Man, I don't know.
So we'll have to look that up.
Crazy story. Crazy story.
I'm sure it will be an epic Mathis update when.
Oh,
when
we'll get an update. I promise you. It'll be somewhere along the lines of, guys, remember this? He gone.
He pled guilty.
He's gone. All right, we are back. Another segment of the Front Porch Show. If you remember, a couple weeks ago, we had an interview with Robia Scott of the movie Unplanned, and
which to this day was, I just am really, really grateful she was able to come on, and she did an amazing job.
It was a blast to talk to her.
Yes.
I did not realize at that time the number of anti-abortion bills coming down the pipes at that point. Since that movie, or even sometimes before that movie, Ohio has passed a heartbeat bill, meaning if the baby has a heartbeat, it can no longer be aborted. Mississippi, Kentucky, Louisiana, Missouri, Georgia, and Alabama. Now, I guess Missouri has not been signed by the governor yet, but it's expected to. He is in great support, and that is 8 weeks.
Has Alabama's been signed yet?
Yeah, Alabama's did get signed this past Tuesday, I believe, by Kay Ivey. She's the governor of Alabama. And that is the most extreme of all of the cases, because that is no abortion except for in the case where the mother is at risk. I want to give you guys a couple stats, though, to start out with, to dispel some of the arguments. First point, only 1% of abortions are for rape or incest.
In Alabama, that number is even smaller.
So
in Alabama, that number is like 0.25%. So
only 1% nationwide are abortions for rape or incest. Also, 86% of abortions are unmarried women. Okay, I just want that to sink in for a moment there.
Mm-hmm.
Not a huge surprise, though.
Not a huge surprise, but I think it speaks to a huge issue in our country of we are not going about things the right way. You know, we as a country have emasculated men. We've raised the flag of quote unquote toxic masculinity whenever a man does something masculine. We've destroyed fatherhood. The courts have made fatherhood incredibly difficult, especially after there's a breakup of a couple. And then we end up with a statistic. So after men and fathers have been completely marginalized, we end up with this number: 86% of abortions are unmarried women.
And to your point, the irony is that the outrage from the abortion supporters, these people that just want to kill these children, was what we're learning in the rhetoric that's come out in these last couple months, weeks, is that they're actually turning to these are the kind of responses we're getting in response to these abortion bills is, well, fine, we're going to go on a sex strike. No sex unless you want to actually make a baby.
Which may be the funniest thing that I've ever heard, by the way. Thank you, Alyssa Milano.
You want to ban abortions? How about we force the father to stay and take care of the child? They are literally making our arguments that we have made for years on the morality of this society. That's their defense now in trying to defend abortion, is they're making our arguments. Don't have sex unless you're married and want to have a child, and make the father step up and take care of the kid.
Yeah,
they're making our arguments for us.
My response to that was, congratulations, you invented marriage. It's a thing that we used to do in this country.
Exactly. Guys, that's how you know you're winning. When the other side thinks they're dropping an A-bomb on you by literally making the rhetorical argument you have been making the entire time.
Yep.
I think one of the big things, though, I think one of the big takeaways is if you want to stop abortion, you have to emphasize the family. As soon as you de-emphasize the family, all bets are off.
Correct.
All bets are off. And look, I am not talking about legislating people who are not Christians who want to have sex. I'm not saying we legislate that. I'm not saying any of that. I'm simply stating that even though I, as a Christian, do not believe that sex outside of marriage is a proper thing or is a good thing for society, I don't want to legislate that because I don't think we should legislate the individual ridiculous actions. But the problem with abortion is there is not just one person involved in this abortion.
Exactly.
There are two, if not three people. Because last I knew, in order to make a baby, you need a man and a woman, and then you end up killing a child. So wait.
It's 2019, and you've seen some of the articles where they don't claim you need a man and a woman now to make a baby. But despite all those ridiculous non-scientific claims,
and that not all women have uteruses.
Yes, but despite that utter insanity, you are correct. It involves two people to create the child, and then the child is there also. And here's the other thing: these people screaming about heartbeat bills. Okay. I'm trying to remember. I heard the clip. I don't think you have it, Mathis, but I heard it just the other day. There's a clip where as they're discussing this heartbeat bill, I forget if it was MSNBC, if it was CNN. The comment was made about this bill in Georgia of banning abortion after a so-called heartbeat is detected.
So-called.
And so what?
So-called?
Scientific.
What is it? Are they giving birth to a metronome? Is there a little drummer in there? What is going on? It's a heartbeat. So, and in any other thing, in an ultrasound, they say, "Oh, look, here's the heartbeat. There's a baby." If they do an ultrasound and they can't find a heartbeat, they declare the baby dead. I don't understand how you can argue over the heartbeat thing.
No. And look, I am willing to acquiesce the entire abortion debate to go to heartbeat bill. Okay, I don't think eliminating any life is right. But correct. I am willing to acquiesce to the point of, hey, guys, I will say that we should just ban everything that as long as it doesn't have a heartbeat.
Well, here's how you know. Here's how you know they just want to kill these children. Okay, what do you think would happen if you said, "All right, here it is. Here's the terms," because you keep saying, "What about exceptions for rape and incest? What about exceptions for life of the mother?" I will give you a 100% exception for rape, incest, life of the mother. We ban all other abortions.
Which would eliminate 99% of all abortions in the United States.
Will they agree to that?
No,
never.
That's not enough. They got to have it on demand in the third trimester. So this is how you know that they just want to kill these children. It's not about choices or safety or these really tough situations that they like to bring up, because I think we can all agree that there are tough situations that, in the case of rape or incest, I hope that that someone in my family that I know never has to go through that kind of decision-making process. Now, hopefully my spiritual life and my values and the things that guide my decision-making process before that have helped me reason through a correct response to a situation like that. And I personally don't believe that it's right to end the life of the child because of someone else's crimes, because of someone else's evil acts. I still don't believe that the child deserves to die. We can all agree that those are tough situations that everyone has got to look inside themselves and apply their values and their beliefs too.
But the point is, those are such a small fraction.
Those are such a small. They make it sound like this is every situation, and it's not.
Can I take a tack here real quick, because I think conservatives are often accused. I think extremely unfairly, but I'm going to leave that aside for a moment. Conservatives are often accused of not caring about children after they're born. especially, underprivileged children. I think I've mentioned to you guys that I've seen people argue on Twitter that if Republicans realized that it was mostly black babies being aborted, they'd be in favor, which I think is a horrifically heinous blood libel against Republicans. And of course, as far as I can tell, it's absolutely
and it's patently false.
But so let me ask you this. I'm going to give you I'm going to start doing this more often, by the way, because these things keep suggesting themselves to me, not just in this arena, but in different social, cultural arenas. Would you trade the banning of abortion for Scandinavian style cradle to grave socialism?
That's a terrible question.
I think it is a terrible question, but I think it's worth asking. I've made Jeff smoke come out of his ears.
That's terrible.
Both are morally wrong. I can't accept either.
Both are unconstitutional.
Both are morally wrong. I would argue that as far as a sin goes, the Bible tells us don't murder and don't steal.
I think we need to leave aside for the moment that and acknowledge that taxation is not theft. But it's
I don't know that on the spot I can say both are morally wrong. Both are definitely unconstitutional. Obviously, abortion is morally wrong.
Yeah.
Both are devastating for the country.
I agree.
Well, so you're saying Scandinavian style socialism?
Yeah.
Which
isn't actually socialism. It's actually a market society.
It's a free market with a very large social safety net.
Yes, that's correct.
So in that case,
I use the heuristic on that.
Maybe.
I would probably take that trade.
Yeah. No, I think I would too. It's
a tough call, but if
I don't
had to make that trade, it'd be worth making.
I would not imagine for a moment that trade is being offered, because I don't think it really matters what kind of safety net we have, because we actually have a pretty powerful safety net right now for those that are for those that want to use it.
We have a comparable safety net that brings people up to higher than the poverty level, or higher than the middle class level of every other country in the world.
And it's already been demonstrated many times when this argument comes up about conservatives not caring for poor people that in reality, those that fall on the right side of the political spectrum are actually much more generous in personal charities and in personal involvement with these kind of things than those on the left, because those to the left consider their drive to push everything into government care as their charity. So they think these drives to use government control to accomplish these means are charitable, whereas those to the right are doing it through churches, community groups, personal charity. And so you've got that different paradigm.
So you guys, So you guys know, as I go down this road and as I do the podcast and I explore and read, like I'm becoming much less of a politics person than I am a culture person. And I want to know why people think what they think. And politics is not always the answer to those questions. But there is a very real, very powerful belief on the left that's exactly what I just said, that Christians in particular and conservatives broadly don't care about kids after they're born. So I would encourage you, and I'm not saying to put your piety on your sleeve, but if you're a conservative and this is something that concerns you and you care about winning the culture war, because you can't, I mean, I don't think this is one fight that I in good conscience cannot abandon. Start thinking about conversations you can have and, ways you can work on this perception. I think this is very important. Again, you're not going to convince people that, like Jeff said, that are really only concerned about protecting abortion at any cost. But there's a very large middle on this issue that is probably bigger than you think that people can be convinced. So
in prepping for this, I saw an article. I'm trying to remember who the person was. Some blue check mark on Twitter had pulled that out and said, "What have you done to take care of a child?" Or whatever.
The responses were incredible.
They were incredible.
The responses were insane.
But guess what? She posted later and said, "Thank you all so much for sharing everything you've done." I was like, "Whoa!"
She acknowledged it, and that's my point. Is that so? You're right, Tombstone. When you can find a way, not wear it on your sleeve and in your face, but when you're if you are truly living your beliefs, when you're presented with that question, when you can immediately respond with, "Here's what I'm doing."
I was shocked the number of people who responded to that in good faith.
And we're winning the culture war anyways. Because the number of abortions is dropping. Planned Parenthoods are shutting down. I mean, I believe there's some states that don't even have a Planned Parenthood in them at this point.
Conservative state legislatures have largely succeeded in making it very, very difficult.
But I'm not talking legislatively. I'm talking culturally. I think we're winning. The perception on abortion is changing. We're winning the rhetorical battle.
I would not be surprised. Back. Does anyone have a breakdown of percentage of abortions by region or by location?
I'm sure somebody does.
Planned Parenthood does not release that information.
There's got to be some. Oh, here. Okay, I found an article, a number of reported legal abortions by state of occurrence. So here we go. Alabama, I don't know what year this is. 2015. So this is old data, but it's the only data I found. Alabama was 5,900. Arizona, 12,000. I'm just hitting the high points. Arkansas, 4,000. California not recorded. It's probably a big number there. Colorado 10,000. Connecticut almost 10,000. District of Columbia 1,200. Florida 72,000. Georgia
I've got
31,000. Georgia's got a huge number. Illinois 40,000. Massachusetts.
I've got
20,
some numbers
000.
pulled up here. Now these say they're from 2014 because of the lag in data.
Okay. I've got Michigan down. I've got Michigan down for 28,000, 27,000 abortions, Jeff.
This one's saying at 29,120, but they've got percentages too. The percentages of pregnancies aborted. So like in Michigan, it's 20%.
Man.
Alabama 12%. DC 38% of pregnancies aborted. That might be the highest number I'm seeing on here.
Yeah. DC's absolute number was not very high, but the percentage is pretty high.
New York, 119,940 for 33%. And then
what do you have for Texas?
Let's see, Texas, 55,000, 12%.
Okay, so big number but low percentage.
Utah, 2,960 for 5%.
Yeah, it's Utah.
Here's Wyoming, only 120 for 2%.
Wow.
Go Wyoming.
So you guys want to know? Abortion clinics per state? Any guess on the highest number on the highest state?
I would guess California.
California's the highest with 152 clinics.
Oh no, I don't know where you're. What are you looking at for that source?
This is a Business Insider.
Because this one here has abortion facilities in California at 512.
Interesting. So
What's New York have?
According to this, is 95.
This has it at 218.
I'm going with
this. I wonder. Facilities not Planned Parenthood.
No. So this is
facilities not Planned Parenthood.
I think that is specifically. So these are single abortion clinics. Okay. So this would be that's their thing. So Planned Parenthood's
standalone.
Like, whereas those other ones probably include hospitals and doctors who also
offer it. Probably
offer the
I haven't looked
procedure, and I say that in quotes. Florida's number 3, guys. I just want to make mention here that these areas where they are offered have the highest percentage of minorities. These 3 states, California, New York, Florida. Texas comes in at number 4 here.
Mm-hmm.
Texas comes in at number 4. Washington comes in, a little bit higher.
Now, I mean, again, we've said this before. It's almost like exhausted talking point, but that was Margaret Sanger's.
I know.
Like target group was the minorities, and I don't know. We've kind of bounced off on this statistical, like we're looking up these numbers, but
I know.
So I want to push it this way because I think we're on the verge of some massive victories in this arena.
So let me ask you that question, Jeff. What's your prediction? What is your prediction? Because every single one of these laws is going to go to the Supreme Court.
But
Alabama's is the most extensive, and it's the personhood bill. It actually defines a fetus as a person, which in any other world, on any other planet, a single-celled organism of any type It's considered a person, or considered a creature. It's considered a creature.
It's considered life.
Life. There you go.
That's different, and legally, that's different. Life is different than personhood.
Yes. And so my question to you is this person, number one on the Alabama bill, do you think that the personhood bill is going to stand up in the court, in the Supreme Court? Because that's what's going.
I don't know if I'm qualified to answer that. I'm afraid not.
I'm gonna take this opportunity since you posed me the question to pontificate a little bit, because that's what I was gonna say. I think we're on the verge of some important victories. Obviously, these bills even passing are victories, and of course, unfortunately, the way that we've totally destroyed and turned our court system dysfunctional, we just know now it's you pass a law and then fight it out in front of the Supreme Court to decide if it's actually a law or not. But I think we're on the verge of some victories if we don't defeat ourselves, because we were talking about this a little bit before the show. You're even seeing things now with some of these bills. You're seeing people, Eric Erickson out of the Resurgent. You're seeing even Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro has said that the Alabama bill, he thinks it takes it a little too far because he doesn't think it will win. Okay.
He did say it was morally right, though.
He said it was morally right, but he said that politically he doesn't think it'll win. And so you've got people that are saying don't fight the battle yet unless you know it can win. Then you've got people like Matt Walsh who have said, yes, he's actually against abortion in any form, even life of the mother. He does not equate it to self-defense because the child is not actively, intentionally harming the life of the mother. And we can have a discussion later maybe on what our views on some of these different exceptions are. But the point is, as long as these little factions that disagree on a few things, we don't trip over ourselves here. I don't think being able to win at the Supreme Court should be the litmus test for whether we pass a bill and take it to the Supreme Court. And I've seen several comparisons made this week to the Dred Scott case and slavery and essentially personhood status of the African Americans in U.S. history.
Which if the listeners remember, the Dred Scott overturned the whole 3/5 of a person thing. Correct?
So Dred Scott, essentially the Dred Scott case, this was decided in 1857. The claim was, I believe, he had run away?
I honestly don't remember.
I think he had escaped. Either way, that his current master died. And he filed a suit for him and his wife to gain their freedom, and it made it all the way up to the Supreme Court. And essentially what ended up happening, he lost, and what essentially ended up happening is that the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, the court ruled 7-2 against him. And this is some wording from the Chief Justice's reasoning. There are 2 clauses in the Constitution which point directly and specifically to the Negro race as a separate class of persons and show clearly that they were not regarded as a portion of the people or citizens of the government then formed. And there's some other language in there. Now, he says in this quote that there's 2 clauses in the Constitution. I don't actually know which 2 he's referring to at the moment, but they also talk about in reaching his ruling, he actually supposedly went back and studied all kinds of local and state laws leading up to this point, and that's how he arrived at his reason. Now, there were 2 judges that also wrote a dissent to that, but the point being, before we go on too long, the point being is the language that had to come out of, the way they had to twist the language to rule against Dred Scott, so galvanized the population that very shortly thereafter, it resulted in a tumbling of slavery because of the way that they had to just finally come out and say that black people are not people and citizens under our law of the land. And I think this is what things like the Alabama law can do. It may go to the Supreme Court, and John Roberts, the political hack who was more worried under Obamacare about saving the stupid legacy of his pathetic court than he was about actually ruling on the constitutionality of things. No, it's the straight-up truth.
I agree. Absolutely,
he's a political hack.
Book.
And the way that they so lambasted Kavanaugh during his during his confirmation hearings. I'm worried about which way he's going to go to try to look like a reasonable person after all that went down in the confirmation hearing. So we've got two guys who we really can't trust on this issue on the Supreme Court that are more worried about their own personal reputations and the legacy of the court than about ruling factually in accordance with the Constitution. However, even if this goes to the court and it loses in front of the court, like people like Ben Shapiro are saying that it might, the language they're going to have to use, the fact that to rule against it, they're going to have to say that a preborn child is not a person and is not a citizen, the way that they're going to have to go about that, I think that the way we're already winning the rhetorical battle, it is going to provide some important fodder that even if they lose, the next, in just a few years, we will win. It could be the Dred Scott case of the abortion battle.
First half, we got hit in the mouth and acted like somebody took our lunch money, and all we wanted to do was have pouty expressions on our face until somebody daubed our little tears off and made us feel better. And then, then we'd go out there and try harder once our mommies told us we were okay.
Man, I love Coach Leach.
Some expert analysis
Families
right there.
is where our nation finds hope, where wings take dream.
I am going to reach out to the Cougars.
This thing was 10 foot tall.
And I'm going to see if we can't get Coach Mike Leach on the show. Because I would love to sit down and talk with Coach Leach. Not about football necessarily, just about life. Like an entire 2 hours just with Coach Leach. It'd be amazing. We would learn so much, guys. So much.
I'm in.
I wanted to kind of sum up the whole abortion topic with this. I have friends who have had abortions. I know that. I know people in my life who have been raped. And that is absolutely tragic. What happened in the past does not define you. Either way. Whether it be that you had an abortion or whether you were the victim of something. There's forgiveness, there's grace, there's love. And ultimately what I'm getting at is there is redemption. And there's deliverance.
And I think all of us here would absolutely say that. Because remember, we tend to put value judgments on some of these things as fallen humans. But we're all fallen.
Yeah.
In the eyes of our Creator, we are all fallen, and that relationship has been severed for everyone.
Right.
Even the best person, even if you're great and you've never sinned, as Trump said he hasn't. Okay.
Even Tombstone.
even Tombstone. We know that. We're all fallen.
Yeah.
And the only way to restore that relationship is through redemption, and it's not even anything we can do. And So I guess what I'm saying is our attack on the abortion debate is not an attack on you. Correct.
It is an attack on an injustice that's going on right now that needs to be stopped.
And on the small part of the movement that essentially is pushing for this child murder, that they're pushing for it in this weird, almost religious fervor for this atrocity. That's what we're fighting against with such fervor, but we also want to make sure that we're saying there is redemption out there, and we recognize that for each individual person.
Absolutely. For those struggling with this who are believers, I heard a great talk by a pastor by the name of Francis Chan, and he said he made the comment, and he wasn't referring to this topic. He was referring to another topic, but he made the comment that we see what Scripture says. We see Scripture, holds life as very valuable, even from the womb, as it says in Psalms. And, we see that we're not supposed to kill. We see that we're not supposed to murder. And I understand that emotions a lot of times come into play when it comes to this topic, but really it's not about our emotions, is what he went on to say. When we look at Scripture, when we look at what God has to say, it's not about what we feel. It's about what he says ultimately. And we cannot, we have to humble ourselves to the point that we have to say, I don't like that, but I know what you say.
We have to, like you said, humble ourselves to the point that absolute truth, we allow absolute truth to temper our emotion and let us arrive at the right answer, not the emotionally satisfying answer.
I mean, can I be honest with you guys? There's a lot of things in Scripture that I don't like. I mean, as far as like, there's just things that I'm told that I have to do as a person that I don't like, that I don't want to follow. But it comes down to I have to. It's what my faith dictates of me. And as we said before, we know that we don't have an all Christian audience, but that is that's where we are in our lives, and we understand that some of this won't be profitable to you guys, and heck, for all we know, you skip through it. But just know that that's we're not here to judge you. We're here to follow Christ. And we're here to do what he says.
And like you said, we may not have all Christian listeners, but that's the worldview that is guiding our analysis of these events. And that worldview is what enables us to take such a hardline stance against a practice pushed by places like Planned Parenthood, while also taking the absolute open arms, gracious stance of being willing to accept and work with and receive anyone who has struggled with some of these terrible events in their past.
Right. And I don't think this ends, to your point, Jeff, earlier, this does not end at ending abortions. We 86% of abortions are unmarried women. We have to, as a church, as a body, as a society, come in and help these women. If we all of a sudden have 86%, or it's literally hundreds of thousands of more babies in our society as a result of banning these abortions, we as a society have to come together. And even to Tombstone's point there, with the whole Scandinavian socialist analogy there, we have to, as a society, as a community, come together and help folks. And that's our obligation. Yeah, sure, we can make the argument that these people shouldn't be having sex, shouldn't be having babies, unprotected sex. But it happens. We all know that, and we have to come beside them and we have to help them. Yeah, we don't have any. If we're going to be pro-life, we need to be pro-life. We can't just be pro-birth.
Correct.
And that's all I've got to say about that. In the words of Forrest Gump. I want to head to Idaho for the next story, Jeff. Now, You sent an article. I read the article headline, and I immediately said, I want to move to Idaho.
Your truck is already packed.
My truck is packed, even blown head gasket and all. I want to go to Idaho. Idaho repealed its entire regulatory code. Now what?
Now, and even the second, the what would you call that? The tagline or the subheadline.
Subtitle.
The secondary headline says, Idaho just initiated a regulatory reset where the government eliminates all regulations and then brings back the ones it decides it wants. So that sounds like it was
beautiful.
It sounds like well, except for the part where it decides it wants. But
right. That's where the libertarian in me gets really up in arms.
But it sounds like they very intentionally went about this and said, our regulatory code is insane. let's have a reset. Let's do a zero-based budgeting thing where each year we totally rethink the budget. So instead of budget, we totally rethink the regulation and we reset it.
So what actually happened in Idaho, Jeff?
However, it's a little more complicated than that, and it's a little less satisfying than that.
I don't like where you're going with this, Jeff.
So let's see. According to James Bruegel, a senior research fellow with the Mercatus Center, so here's what happened. Something rather remarkable just happened in Idaho. The state legislature opted to, in essence, repeal the entire state regulatory code.
Okay.
So what happens is that the state legislature wrapped up an acrimonious session in April without passing a rule reauthorization bill. So basically, it's a really divided state house there, as it is in the federal Congress. And so they couldn't come to an agreement on a rule reauthorization bill. So on July 1st, 8,200 pages containing 736 chapters of state rules will expire. And so any rules that the governor and they're out of session now. That's the thing. Like, they reached the end of their legislative session's over. They didn't agree. So all this stuff's going to expire in July. Any rules the governor opts to keep will have to be implemented as emergency regulations, and then the legislature will consider them anew when it returns in January. So in some ways, this is almost worse, right? Because the legislative body broke and couldn't agree on rules. So now the rules expire, and the governor can decide to pick and choose which ones need to stay in place as emergency regulations.
So just so everyone knows, the House and Senate in Idaho are widely Republican, wide Republican majority.
So in other words, it should have been easy to bring this about.
Theoretically, they should have been able to do this.
Which sounds like, without knowing for sure, that this is then turned into a battle between establishment-type Republicans who are still fairly big government and the limited government conservatives.
Correct. Which I think in Idaho, even the Democrats may be pretty conservative.
Well, compared to New York or California.
So
yes.
Idaho is a different place, guys. Idaho is a very different place.
Yes. So, again, the shame on the Foundation for Economic Education for extremely clickbaity,
calling them out,
misleading headlines.
Roberts and Fee.
It's not what they give you the sense that it was done intentionally when it's really a result of dysfunction. However, in the end, it still provides the same opportunity that now they've operated from July to January with a lot of these repealed and with only emergency regulations in place. When they come back in January, they then have to vote on what's staying, what's going. And essentially you get to see, it's not dire. The whole state didn't just fall through the crust of the earth because these regulations disappeared for 6 months. So,
that's a shame.
So it may result in a shrinking of government. I don't trust it to finish that way, but it may.
That's a bummer. I'm kind of bummed with all this now. You bummed me out. I was all like, great, we're moving to Idaho. Gonna move my corporation there. Gonna do all this stuff. Gonna start some businesses. And then you're like,
it may still work out that way. It may still work out that way.
I would love to know where the governor of Idaho leans. Like, is he pretty, like, is he establishment Republican? Is he?
It's a good question.
Because that makes a huge difference. Because that can change everything. His governor's name is Brad Little. He's a Republican. He's the 33rd governor serving since January 2019, so he's just a brand new governor. He was lieutenant governor from 2009 to 2019. If I made a completely uneducated guess, I would suggest that he is very establishment. But that is just looking at his picture and looking at a couple of his accomplishments.
You're judging a book by its cover.
Not that Mathis judges
you guys,
purely based on
no. I do. No, look, so I have a theory. I think I can tell people's political leanings by what they look like. And
I don't know.
No.
So is that why you think Tombstone's a communist? Because of the Kim
haircut.
Jong-un haircut?
Kim Jong-un haircut. No, so like New England liberal women had this look about them, and I knew every time.
Okay,
I don't understand how I get cautioned when I go off on important existential rants, and then Mathis comes out with New England liberal women have a look about them, and nobody puts the brakes on this.
I mean, I'm with Aaron on this, though.
Tombstone knows.
I don't know that I disagree. I'm just saying, why do I always get the caution flags thrown at me?
Because we don't want to jeopardize your employment, Jeff.
That's true. It was probably
I honestly look.
enough.
I'm just going to go out there and say I don't care about mine right now. So,
oh boy.
But that's a different story. That's a totally different story. I'm just saying.
People do tend to present themselves in ways that signify their worldview.
They do.
Mm-hmm.
They do. But no, there's a certain look about, and even men too, even liberal men.
He cannot leave it at my diplomatic wording.
No, I can't. All right. I think we should just go out, or I'm going to get in big trouble.
Take us out.
Yeah. I'm going to get in big trouble.
Take us out before somebody else takes us out.
That rod of God, man.
Lord, I want to thank you for my smoking hot wife tonight, Lisa.
That was a non-gendered person, Ken, and you just gave it a gender.
I tried this one chili and it set my mouth on fire, and I had to drink a 2-liter of Mountain Dew.
All right, leave this guy alone with his poor constipated poops. We're going to come back and talk about politics. That's what really matters here.
By the way, I'm pretty sure in the next couple weeks we are going to have a T-shirt in the Front Porch store that says non-gendered person, Ken.
I like it.
Yep, that's right.
I don't know who's going to buy it, but
I hope I'm getting sent one. For my time contribution.
Actually, a lot of people I think would buy that because it's just such a smack in the face. You know, non-gendered personkin on the back. It's got the Front Porch logo.
I mean, I'm in favor.
I think it's great.
So
I mean, you see the stuff Crowder sells. So.
I know. Well, right? Exactly. All
right. So in today's news about living in Trumplandia in 2019, which is truly the wildest place you could possibly live in all of history, or at least close to it. There is a person. So this is Jim. How do you say his last name again, Aaron?
Jim Baker.
So Jim Baker, which is with 2 Ks, so I don't know why it's Baker instead of Backer, but nobody asked me these things.
And it's, his wife is Tammy Faye.
Previously disgraced TV evangelist. What's his first name? I don't know why my brain's not working. Probably because it's so freaking hot out here. Is it Jimmy?
His name's Jim Baker.
Jim Baker. Okay, I'm telling why.
Why was he disgraced? I remember there was something.
I think it was a sex. I think it was a sex thing.
Was it really?
Yeah. Jeff, do you Google that for me while I'm talking?
I'm Googling. I'm doing some Googling.
Google the thing. So, anyways, I think he was disgraced. He lost his whatever gig he had, but he had been a wildly popular. I should say wildly successful, because you don't have to be popular to be successful if you're a TV evangelist. And now he's doing other things. Like he did like food prep sales. Like he had a show where he sold like prepper things, and he's done a few different weird things. I only became aware of him like 2 years ago. I had never heard of him growing up. So he's been around a long time. He's a pretty old guy. He's in his mid-70s, I think.
Currently owes $6 million to the IRS.
Oh, really?
Now, yeah. Are you ready for? Are you ready for?
Okay, so not as successful as I thought. Then, yeah, go ahead.
So he was a former Assemblies of God minister. of course, a host of the PTL Club. However, let's see here. A cover-up of hush money paid to a church secretary named Jessica Hahn for an alleged rape led to his resignation from his ministry, and then subsequent revelations of accounting fraud brought about his conviction, imprisonment, and divorce.
Oh,
so
man.
He
did go to prison. I thought he did.
Accusations of rape as well as accounting fraud.
Okay. So now he's on Aaron. Should have pulled this up before I started. I'm sorry, folks. So now he's doing, basically, he has this amazing grift as selling boomer-oriented TV sales, basically.
It's the Jim Baker Show.
On the Jim Baker Show. I don't know what. I assume it's on cable.
Yes, no CTN, Daystar, Folk TV, Grace TV.
Okay, it's Daystar. Okay.
Jeb TV. I wonder if that's Jeb Bush TV. No, it's GEB. Hope TV, Impact Network. They've got a bunch of networks. Are on.
All right. So can we run the audio, Aaron?
Yeah. Yeah.
Run the audio, and then if it's not totally clear, I'll clarify it. But it's pretty awesome.
Let me fire it up here. Here's Jim Baker in his own words.
How many of you have been praying all across America? How many of you have been praying? This coin is our point of contact. When I asked the Lord, why the coin? The Lord said, because when you take the coin, it's a point of contact. So your faith is being released with 1 million other believers to pray protection and peace and wisdom and counsel over the President of the United States and over his family. Mm-hmm. That's our point of contact. Every day when you see it, remember, God puts something in your hand that you have a role in. That's why we've got to pray, because they think we're crazy, but we're actually the sane ones.
Right. That's
and
right.
so we're praying. We're going to pray. The teaching that is here, this coin as a point of contact, this 24-karat gold-plated coin. And by the way, I couldn't copy the Sanhedrin model.
By the way,
I would do an original.
Yours
so
for only $45
nice
donation.
Picture of the president to use. So
that's
we have our own version of it. But what we want to do is we want to be able to start, Jim, this movement. We've got 16 months. This battle for the future of America has already started.
That's
16, 18 months.
Who is on that coin?
We're in the battle right now.
Cyrus.
Like Cyrus the Great? As in
Cyrus the Great.
History of Civ Cyrus?
Guy. Yeah, the guy who... Because, he's the guy that Daniel worked for.
Right.
Daniel the prophet worked for. That's the connection.
Well,
so the notion here is that there's an acknowledgement that Trump is sort of this amoral force of history, and that Christians can pray for him via using this coin, which, okay, the whole concept of praying for people who are not necessarily Christian or moral, who are in leadership, I'm obviously totally in favor of that. Now, I'm not necessarily, I'm not going to insult the Almighty by assuming
I think there's
that he
a clear
wants the same
scriptural
thing.
mandate for that, though, to pray for leadership.
Yes.
But I'm not going to insult the Almighty by suggesting that God wants the exact same thing in politics that I want. So to be honest, my prayers in that department tend to be very general, acknowledging the sovereignty of God and the workings of the world and so on. That's kind of where I'm at. Obviously, I have very strong personal preferences about politics, which is why I'm here, and you all know this. However, to be honest, what's interesting to me is not what he said, not what he's driving at, but the way, like, this inclusion of some kind of mystical transmission power that's given to you by having this $45 memorial style coin in your hand with Cyrus on one hand and Trump on the other hand.
By the way, I'm pretty sure there's something of this is going to end up in an intro. Just saying.
I think it should. I kind of want one. If they weren't $45, I would probably order one just to look at it. I'm genuinely curious.
How can you require a $45 donation for something? I mean,
that's TV.
No, it says donation.
TV evangelist. That's TV evangelist speak. That's how they always are.
No, I guarantee they have to do a donation. I guarantee they can't actually sell anything.
Maybe, I don't know. I don't know if it's that or if it's just the way these people operate because of the age bracket they target.
I mean, this is the prayer hankies, the holy water, this crazy stuff.
It's Christian kitsch.
And what's weird is that it falls on this side of, like, it comes out of these, like, kind of quote unquote evangelical I mean,
right.
Isn't this what Martin Luther kind of said? He was like, we don't need this weird, like, mystical go-between. We don't need priests to speak for us.
All right, so
no, this is a grift. All this is a grift. That's all it is.
Have I mentioned on the show the billboard in Omaha?
No, remind me.
So as you're driving through Omaha, there's a billboard. It's got an American flag up on it. Up in the corner, instead of the stars, it's got the Ten Commandment tablets, right?
Yeah.
And in the middle, where the stripes are, it's got the red and white stripes and everything, and it says, "By his stripes we are healed."
Oh my gosh!
I kid you not.
That's. I think that's heresy.
I kid you not.
Is that heresy, Jeff? Your heresy detector is better than mine.
That's rough, man.
I'm telling you. I go past that billboard and I'm like,
you need to find out who put it up. We should have them on the show.
I don't know if I can deal with that.
You're obviously very much against mixing religion and politics, Mathis.
Yes, I am.
I didn't know where it was going. At first, I'm like, okay, 10 Commandments on an American flag. You can make an argument that a lot of like Western civilization, our morality is founded on those ideals.
And then the kill shot.
And then you throw that out there, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
I saw Jeff like recoiled.
How has that billboard not been struck by lightning at this point?
I'm telling you, I drive past it, and I'm like, I pray I don't get struck because...
Which is the same irony with this guy selling these gold coins, because Jesus literally walked into the temple and straight up flipped the tables over of the money
it's a
changers.
donation. They're not selling it. It's a donation.
They were just changing out money for sacrifices,
right?
Like
I mean, they weren't charging too much. They were charging a donation to change out the money.
Exactly.
I at the risk of being cliche and just being generally a wet blanket, which is what I'm really good at. The guys, I love being a conservative. I have a lot of reactionary, radical conservative beliefs. Folks, the government is not an agent of moral change. They can't be, and it's not what the government's designed to do. It's not.
They can't be if you believe you're conservative. As we view that term conservative, I guess. Because to be an agent of moral change, or quote-unquote moral change, the government has to be involved in every little area of your life.
And I would argue from the libertarian standpoint, of course, does moral change ever happen without free will? The government is not an agent of free will. The government is an agent of force.
Well, and you're right.
You can't force moral change.
If it's accomplished at the point of a gun, then the morality hasn't actually changed.
There's a more. I have other more meta arguments on this topic, but let me tack back a little bit.
You can force quote unquote moral behavior without actually changing the morality.
But that's my point, though. That's not moral change. That's moral behavior.
Correct.
Major differences.
So all that to say, folks, if someone is selling you a vision of Jesus and a vision of the will of God that happens to align perfectly with your political desires, then you may want to take a look at your beliefs. That's really all I was driving at.
Solid.
And that goes for everybody. That definitely not just for the people we love to make fun of that are Republicans and whatever. That definitely goes for the progressive left-leaning Christians who tend to assume all sorts of interesting things about immigrants and social programs and so on. So I've already given rants on that. Maybe we'll come back to that another time.
So go out, buy your coins.
Go buy coins. Go buy a Cyrus
I think
coin.
we should have
Let us
a coin.
know how it is.
I think we should make a coin, though, guys.
Front Porch Show challenge coin.
Front Porch Show challenge coin with the three of us on the front.
No, one coin for each of us.
Oh, we're going to make it happen. They might be plastic, though. Not 45 karat gold.
24 karat gold looking.
My brother was cleaning out the stalls out there for Troy, working for him. And they call and want me to come around there. Well, when I get there, I realized that they're already drunk. One thing led to another, and before I knowed it, there was knives, guns, everything just went haywire. They cut my beard and forced me to eat it.
Tragic end to his beard, that's for sure. Guys, Tide Pod Challenge. Obviously, none of us participated in it.
What our era would have probably been the cinnamon challenge.
Well, our era was probably the cinnamon challenge or the chubby bunny.
Wait. What's the
chubby
cinnamon
bunny
challenge?
Chubby bunny.
Chubby bunny.
What's
that
the
was in
cinnamon
college.
challenge?
We had that in college.
I'm familiar with chubby bunny. What's the cinnamon challenge?
Cinnamon was a spoonful of cinnamon. Try to
Just
swallow
like a solid teaspoon of cinnamon. You just put it in your mouth and take it all at once.
Yeah,
It sounds awful.
It was bad.
Yeah.
I never did.
What does that do to your
course.
digestive tract?
Probably
I don't know,
cleans
because
you
I don't
out.
think anyone could get it down.
Yeah, no,
they all just
'cause
end
you
up
can't swallow
coughing
it.
out a cloud of cinnamon.
That's the point.
Chubby bunnies redo the marshmallows, right?
Yeah.
Just
As many
keep stuffing
marshmallows
them
as
in your
possible.
mouth.
Yeah. A couple of people died doing that, by the way.
I mean, if you tried to swallow it, you could choke.
There was also the chocolate milk challenge. That's pretty nasty. That does not end well.
I don't know what that is. What's
That's where you
chocolate milk
drink as
challenge?
much chocolate milk as possible. Same with water, a water challenge where they drink as much water as possible. People have died doing that.
You can
It's
die
crazy.
from anything if you drink enough of it.
Right, exactly. Guys, so challenges.
Sound analysis by Tombstone.
What was that again? Sum that up. You can die doing anything if you try hard enough.
You can die. No, I mean yes, but you can die from anything if you drink enough of it.
Okay, pretty sure that's.
You can die from drinking too much orange juice.
Yeah, that's very true. We go to Switzerland, Germany, and Austria today to the, I assume it's pronounced Cow Cuss Challenge, as in cow kiss challenge.
How's it spelled?
That's KUHKUSS challenge.
I think it's Kua. Ask Alyssa. Where's Alyssa?
Challenge. She's not here today. Anyways, this is a
correct
challenge that has emerged where you kiss cows with or without your tongue.
With or without their consent.
Well, actually, it looks like to me, by the pictures here that I'm looking at,
the cows might be.
The cows are willing participants.
Just kill me. Aaron, have you ever kissed a cow?
I kissed a pig once.
I mean, have you ever? You've been around cows a lot. Have you ever had one kiss you? Or
Yeah.
What do they taste
it was
like?
definitely without consent. No consent.
Right.
Yeah, cows are nasty, man.
I say there's nothing about a cow's face that makes you want to kiss it.
Honestly, the cow tongue to the face is much better than a flip tail to the face. Okay.
Are the tongues really rough? Are they like sandpaper?
Yeah, little sandpaper tongues, kind of like kittens have the sandpaper tongues.
Does the tail really hurt worse? Well, I guess the tail flings some other stuff around,
issue is the flinging from the tail.
Yes.
And when you end up with a face full and a mouth full of cow excrement, things are not going to end well for you. Pink eye. I ended up with it twice. Working on the farm. Not cool. No, so they're obviously they're discouraging the practice because they're afraid people are going to get hurt. Attacking unknown animals is irresponsible for self-protection and animal welfare. I don't know if they're actually attacking these cows. Yes, it's dangerous. Yes, they're approaching the cow. Yes, people are wandering out into the paddocks.
Yeah.
But the cows look very willing.
Now, no, did you go all the way to the end of the article?
The cows are probably just happy to have some company.
So they're cautioning these people because, like, mother cows can be protective.
Yes.
In February this year, a court in Austria ruled that a farmer had to pay damages to the family of a German woman killed by one of his cows while hiking in 2004. Oh, that's just while hiking. She wasn't doing this stupid thing.
No, she wasn't kissing
court in Innsbruck
cows.
ordered the farmer to pay 158,000 pounds or 180,000 euros compensation to the woman's husband and son, along with sending payments of more than 1,300 pounds, 1,500 euros. So
good grief.
So what
Isn't
they're
that
saying
incredible?
actually in the end, I thought it was saying it was in relation to this challenge. It's not. But what they're saying is that essentially, if a farmer's cow attacks you for potentially provoking it or not, the farmer can be held responsible.
Yes.
I think that's ridiculous.
Yes, it is.
Now, I don't know about the hiking
So
situation,
Europe
but-
is a little weird because a lot of places in Europe, so like in Nebraska, you can't go on someone else's property without permission.
Right.
Yeah, it's called
trespassing. Right, exactly. But like, so Vermont, for instance, you could hike on other people's property without them knowing about it unless it was posted. Okay?
So it's not that you are allowed to go on anybody's property. It's that if no sign has been posted, all that can happen is the cops can show up and say,
they can ask you to
leave.
They can ask you to leave.
That's it.
Exactly. Which is fine. Whereas Europe's a bit different because there's hiking trails that go through people's property all the time. Britain, especially in the Dales, up near Scotland.
It's essentially just eminent domain, basically.
Basically,
trails
people just walk everywhere. People walk everywhere, right across people's lands.
They have. I forget what it's called. It's not right of trespass, but they have as part of their common law system is if you're just walking, like walking or hiking, then you're in the clear as long as you're not.
Yeah, as long as you're not screwing with people's stuff, which I don't necessarily have a huge issue with.
I think I would love to have that here. The problem is we don't have a culture of people minding their own business and being responsible in their own people's
people are
property.
nosy and they're poking around, and I have an issue.
I think the alternative, it would be much better.
I agree. I
would love to be able to just bebop across the countryside here in South Carolina, but I would get shot at because there are tweakers.
Well, people don't respect other people's stuff.
Tweakers.
Gentlemen. Another story out of Europe today is dubbed the human. Well, it's the human wash. It's dubbed the human wash.
Tell me more.
It's like a car wash, but for people. This is
Wait. We're gonna move on. Have we not I feel like we didn't really have the visceral reaction to the fact that people were French kissing cows.
Well,
I had a visceral reaction.
I thought this was almost as bad, almost as interesting, or almost as insane as people French kissing cows. This is a human car wash. I guess my question for you guys is, how hard is it to wash yourself in the shower that you need a car wash?
Now, this might be very handy for the gentleman in Virginia in prepping for his court date.
It could be, but I don't think he was getting in the shower anytime soon. I don't think he'd walk there.
Yeah, you'd have to create a handicap accessible.
True. Good point. So Matti Passo from Helsinki, he designed the human wash. I'm rolling the video now. It essentially looks like a car wash where he's got some buttons on there that say start, stop, all this fun stuff. It's got
you have to walk through, or is it you all in just one?
No, you stand there.
So it's like a big scrubby
brush that
runs
moves up and down.
It moves up and down and spins.
So, Aaron, is it like those scratchy brushes they have on motors for cows?
Like for the cows? Yeah, kind of. Yeah, basically same thing.
Okay.
This, he says, accurately simulates the feel of two hands giving you a massage.
It's a spinning brush. I don't know how it accurately simulates that.
But no, he's got the shower head strategically pointed at his back here as he's in here, fully clothed. By the way, I just want to make mention of that.
Not fully clothed,
but he's wearing shorts. He's good. He's good though. Very much clothed for European standards.
Good point.
He's an engineer from Helsinki who designed this to help make sure you remain clean. Guys, I'm not sure how this replaces a washcloth.
I need that. What about a loofah?
Or a loofah.
No, he's claiming it can help people with mobility issues, and that in maybe future iterations, it has the potential to help with that.
The way he's moving around this thing, though, if you have mobility issues, you ain't getting around this thing.
No, I think if it was installed next to some sort of bench and you could get in there sitting next to it and you could turn and it could clean your back, you could turn, you get the arm, the side. I think there's a way that it can be used. Like I said, future iterations.
I think given future iterations and more prototypes, I think it could be very useful for like hospitals or nursing homes and such. I think it could be very useful for that.
Yeah, I mean, it even could be helpful to the point of where, like, the staff member just helps support the person while the machine does the cleaning. You don't have to try
I'm going to hold you here against the spinning brush.
I mean, it sounds hilarious, but true. Instead of having to hold someone up and clean them.
Oh, man. It says the user can wash their entire body in 2 to 3 minutes. But because the brushes are designed for a gentle massage, the normal washing time is about 10 minutes.
So you can throw the Uber scrubber on there and just rip off that outer layer of epidermis and be clean in 2 minutes.
That's right. That's right.
You can just say, screw it, I need to be clean.
Hit the turbo and you're good to go.
Does it come with an optional rain repellent spray down after because that would be impressive.
It got weird when it started waxing me when I was in the shower.
what kind of waxing are we referring to now?
It got weird.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Front Porch Show. We'll be back next week.
Price tag of
be sure to listen on Monday mornings at 9:00.
Doomso's trying to eject.
Doomso's like, we're done. Price tag of $5,300. It's
American.
$5,300 American dollars.
Or Trump Cyrus dollars.
Yes. Well, divide that by 45. I'm not sure how much.
I just realized it's $45 for Trump 45.
Yes,
I just figured that out.
You just realized that?
Oh, man.
Everything. I my brain does not think on that kind of.
Everything
level.
makes sense now.
It's 45. All the 45s.
This is the convergence here.
I have seen 1911s with Trump memorabilia etched into them because Trump 45.
Do you think that? Do you think, given a self-defense situation, that they would look favorable?
Jeff, don't talk to me. You're a Taurus owner.
That?
What's that? I'm a Taurus owner.
Oh man.
It doesn't mean
fair enough. That was unnecessarily harsh of me.
It doesn't mean I don't like 1911s. And Taurus makes a 1911.
Yeah, I know, but I would never buy one. Oh, I actually can't say that. I actually did buy one, but then I sold it. I never bought another one. I never fired it either.
I bought
Anyways,
Speaking of Brazil, that's where Taurus is based. So it all just keeps coming back.
It all comes back to the waxing. So we are done. We're done. We're done. We're out.
Let's just say we've gone from the waxing moments of the show, and now we're in the waning.
We're
moments
waning
of the
now.
show. Maybe that's.
I'm done. Shut it down. Shut it down now.
No more waxing poetic.
No, we're done. No, we're done. Thanks for listening, guys. We appreciate it. Until next time, check us out on the www.thefrontporchshow.com, where you can see pictures of French kissing cows and men getting scrubbed by brushes. We will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Wax on, wax off.